I found out I was pregnant about 4 weeks into my pregnancy, and I actually did take like 3 Plan B pills because I didn't want to have the baby, and then I was bleeding for like a week, so I was really scared, and I wanted to take a pregnancy test. So I went to the store and got a couple pregnancy tests, and then they came out positive. I thought I couldn't be pregnant, so I was like so confused about why I was still pregnant. I was really sad and upset. I called my husband and I told him that I was pregnant, and I didn't want to have the baby. And he told me that, we should talk about this in person. So he came to my house and we talked about it. I just told him that I don't think we were ready because he had just gone out of prison in February and I was pregnant by the end of February. So it was just really scary. I felt lost. I didn't know what to do. And I just felt like it just was not a good timing for us. So he said that we could do whatever I wanted, and if I didn't want to have the baby, then that was fine. When I first walked in, it was a really like calm setting. Like I feel really relaxed when I came in. One of the staff, like her voice was just like it made you feel like, you can calm down and, just relax and everything's gonna be okay. And then she's just like, so, what brought you here? And I told her that, I came here thinking that I was gonna get an abortion. And then, she asked me, why? Why do I want to have an abortion? And I started explaining to her the reasons. And she's just, I remember her telling me that I just have to trust in God and that, I'm here for a reason and there's no mistake, and that God loves me. He's gonna provide for me and for my family. Because that's what I think I was so scared of, just not being able to provide and just being scared of just moving on with my family, due to our circumstances. So at that moment when she started telling me that, like I just started crying because I was just still so confused, about what was going on and why she was telling me this. She did start, going over everything with me, over every single detail about, parenting, adoption, or if I still wanted to have an abortion. She was giving me like all the options and the information that I needed to make the right decision. But once I had walked in and sat on the chair and she told me that I was here for a reason and there was no mistake, God brought me here, at that moment I already felt like I could not have an abortion. She's right, God brought me here for a reason. Like there's no mistake when you come across something like that. So I had already made up my mind because it was something that I felt like I already knew in the back of my head, but I was still trying to lie to myself and tell myself that, the baby didn't have a heart. If I would have an abortion, that everything would be okay and I wouldn't feel like I felt. And then she actually gave me a little book, now that I remember, and I started reading little stories about other people that had an abortion and what they felt after. So at that point I was just like, okay, she's right. And then she had brought my husband inside of the room and I was still just kind of crying. I was really emotional. And then, she started talking to him. She kind of went over the same things with him, and, they talked, and then she prayed for us. And then, she asked us, like, after, everything that we just went through, what do you guys want to do? And he said to her that he wasn't sure. We said goodbye and we left. And as soon as we walked out the door, he said, I know I told her that I didn't know what I want to do, but I do know, and I don't want us to have an abortion. I want us to keep the baby. So Roman was born November 25th, 2017 at 5:15 a.m. When I met Roman, it was just such a beautiful feeling. They handed him to me, and I just remember them placing him, on my skin, and just feeling his skin and his smell and just the way that they lay on you, like they're just meant to be like part of you. And then you just look down and you see him and he's like looking at you. It's just so special. And then I had my other son. They brought him in like an hour after I had Roman, and then he was just so happy. He didn't want to leave. He just wanted to hold his brother. It was one of the best feelings. We were just all happy. I mean, when I think back now, I'm very thankful that I came here and that I was able to have, a happy pregnancy and enjoy, the thought of having a baby without being like sad or unhappy. That makes me feel really happy. And then, once you have your baby in your arms, it's just such a wonderful feeling, that you think back to, what you were gonna do, and you were gonna miss out on that special moment, that bond with your child that, it's priceless. So even when I see him now, when I see him playing with my son, I think to myself, like, that wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have that. If I would have had an abortion, I wouldn't have had that. I wouldn't be able to see them play and grow up together and love each other. Like I wouldn't see that. Thanks to options, my son is here with us today. Yeah, it's an unexplainable feeling, Everybody has tough times, but at the end of the day, they're my family.